Welcome to the program, Mr. Brian Gray.
What's happening, Mr. Dillard? How's things going?
Oh, just like I said, wore slap out. Wanted to get home to see the missus, so I left the racetrack at midnight and struck out on a 5-hour drive home Saturday night or early Sunday morning.
I thought they flew you guys around on planes down there.
No, only on 5.5-hour trips or longer. If it's under 5 hours, they may rent a helicopter. But no, the Neesmith Late Model Series, no matter what you've been told, does not have a fleet of flying get-arounders or whatever you want to call them, planes.
Man, I thought them guys had private jets and all that stuff by now.
Yeah, you would think. Let's bring in our other.
What's happening, fellas?
Kyle May.
Yeah.
So Kyle, we're gonna be you're a single guy, right?
Do what?
I said you're a single guy.
Yeah.
So we're having an all-female racer show tonight. What does that mean to a single guy to know that there's ladies out there that race cars? Does your spidey senses start tingling?
I mean, it's cool and I like it, but I just couldn't race against them.
Why you?
I could as long as they wasn't,
whooping
involved. If it was my girlfriend, I had to race against them. It just, somebody would be upset after the night was over with, probably.
It's just not going to work out.
Yeah. It's just, I'm way too competitive to,
But so you told me one time that your mom was hell on wheels when it come to go-kart racing, but you race her,
right.
She whoops you though, right?
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Well,
I think it's where I get my driving from anyway, like in a race car and such.
Well, I hate to say it probably ain't from Marty.
don't tell him that.
Well, all right, guys. As I said, we have an all-female lineup tonight. Towards the end of the program, we will have on Mr. Jonathan Gowan. He is the announcer at Clay Hill Motorsports Park. That'll be the second stop this weekend for the Neesmith Dirt Late Model Touring Series. He's going to provide us a little bit of a preview at the end of the program. Coming up on the program tonight, we have a young lady named Mercedes Harris. She's a modified driver out of New Mexico. Been racing about 9 or 10 years, she told me early on the telephone. Second guest of the evening is Mrs. Kathy Jarvis. She is a stunt woman in the movies. She's the real thing, not fall guy, but fall girl. Fall girl. She sat in a late model up in Michigan on an invite, and the bug bit her. After her, we'll have Amanda Clevenger. She's a writer for allgirlpitcrew.com. I was fooled by the title of the website. What this is kind of like it's like they put these guys on there, and all the girl fans go and ooh and ah over these drivers. So Kyle, you probably need to get with this all girl pit group. That way you can get some more fans.
Figure out which ones to pick up and which ones to dump out.
Well,
yeah, I definitely need to check into that.
Also on the program tonight is a personal friend of mine, Miss Lakeetha Skinner. She's an open wheel modified driver from Talladega. She's a hot shoe in the open wheel division. She's on to talk about her racing and some things that's happened in her life recently. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move into our track report. We have track reports from all over the world tonight, as you'll hear. So when we get back, we'll be talking with Miss Mercedes Harris.
In the dirt, Speedway Report. In the dirt.
Good day, everyone. This is Donnie Knudsen from South Africa, Port Elizabeth. It's down in the south here. We're close to the sea. We had an event this weekend on P Oval Track Raceway. There were invitational teams from Free State up here. The winners of the whole competition were P Oval Track Raceway. In the V8 Speed Keepers won. Close second to him was Alan Boyston, and the third was Ronnie Gordon Graham. In the modified saloon, Again, Pete Skeepers took the win there. Second place, Stefan Weideman. And in third place, it was Marius Guinness. And then we go on to the 1660 classes. It was Daniel Renison in the first place. Second place, it was Eddie Banks. And in third place, Suzette Aylward. And then in the 2.1, there they had a complete victory run there. It was Ronald LaRue in the first place, Edwin Drake in the second place, and then third place was Dion Barna. So they won the 2.1 class. The hot rods was won by P. Ovaltrack. The V8 was won by P. Ovaltrack, and then the 1660s as well. The track we ran on, it's on a type of clay with a mixture compound of light dust, and the track width is 15 meters. It has a rate line of 510 meters and a corner width of 19 meters. For more info, visit our website at www.povaltrack.com.
Checking the race results from Arklatex Speedway Saturday night, April the 28th. Taking the beginner cruiser class, it was Jerry Moore. In the factory stock, Texarkana's Justin Whitehead got another big win. In the pro mod, it was Arkansas's Gary Warlick taking victory lane honors. R.J. Stroman of New Boston, Texas, won the limited modified class. And for the third time this year, David Winslet captured the open wheel modified. Check out scottscustomart.com on the web. He's got some pictures of 4-wide modified racing action at Arklatex Speedway from this past Saturday night. This Saturday, it's the late models, the Comp Cam Super Dirt Series, and the last time you can watch late models this season at Arklatex Speedway in Vivian, Louisiana, so come on out.
Hey, race fans, this is Mike Goins, the announcer at Moeller Raceway Park, coming in to give you a rundown on our races for Friday night, April 27th at Speedway. In our Mount Ord Ford late model division, it was Chad Stapleton out of Edinburgh, Indiana, taking his second feature win on the season. In our modified division, it was Devin Gilpin. Once again, it seems like I got the recording on repeat, taking his fifth feature win on the season. In our Chevette division, Miles Tarvin won his third race of the year. Point leader Derek Davis come home second. Of course, we've done a couple of features in our compact division. We've done a makeup race, and Michael Skeens was victorious in both the makeup and the regular feature, so compact class getting larger each week. This week, it's going to be our Hillbilly Nationals. What that is basically Greg Holman and Holman Motors, who sponsors our Chevette division, decided to put a bunch of money up for the Chevette drivers. They're actually going to be racing for $1,000 to win, $500 for second, I believe $250 for third. Check us out at MoellerRacewayPark.com for all the racing action scheduled as well as results.
Hey, it's Wesley Outley and the voice of the nation's first premier pro late model series in the country, the Fast Track Racing Series, with this In the Dirt at the Track. Look at racing action over the weekend at East Lincoln Speedway in Stanley, North Carolina. First off, big thanks to Ray Evernham of NASCAR, as well as Keith and Donna Fry for inviting me to come out to announce the race and keeping the crowd excited. In the rookie side 4, 15-car, 6 green flag, and it was all said and done. John Reed went to victory lane. Second spot went to Derek Thornburg in the 1. Cody Barber in the 3-car finished in third. The Renegades saw some pretty heated racing. It was an all-out battle between the 8J of Jamie Major and the 52 of Chris Stowe until the last lap. As you know, NASCAR over the weekend was at Richmond. Well, the same thing happened. The famous bump and run to Stowe by Major on the last lap pushed him up the racetrack, got it sideways, and was able to go on to get the victory. Eric Thompson got by Stowe to finish in second. Stowe was able to finish off getting the bump and run to finish third in the 52. Steve Newsom in the 11 was fourth, and Brett Munwalder in the B1 was fifth. Despite the fireworks heated up after the race was over, though, because while Jamie Major had his car going through the test area at the scale, Chris Stowe proceeded to put his car in victory lane, jumping out of the car, jumping on the hood, waving his fist, punching it in the air, getting the crowd all whirled up, whether they were boo or cheer. He was showing his displeasure of the event. Then it escalated when the 8J of Jamie Major wanted his victory lane position and proceeded to push the car, the 52, out of victory lane. Fisticuffs started flying. All of a sudden, push and shoving match began in the fifth. where the sheriffs had to break everything up as well as track officials. And don't forget to join me and Eddie Davis at the Hornets Nest at Talladega Short Track this weekend, announcing the action at Talladega Sprint Cup weekend at the Talladega Short Track. I'm Wesley Outland, and by the way, the upcoming In the Dirt racing forecast is sunny with a chance of racing.
This is Ben Shelton from Mid-South Racing, and we got to take in a great last weekend of April. A lot of great racing last weekend. Friday night, checked out the World of Outlaw Super Late Model Tour at North Alabama Speedway. Capacity crowd on hand for that event. 35 super late models from all over the country. It turned out to be a really great race. Brad Mead, first ever super late model win. Late in the race, Rick Eckers put by for second. Chubb Frank came home third. Vic Coffey, 18th to fourth, and Tim Fuller in the Rocket House car, his second outing in that car, he came home in fifth. On Saturday, I got lucky to come home to my home track in West Memphis, Arkansas, at Riverside International Speedway as they opened their 62nd year of racing. And it was a huge night. The Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series rolled into town. We had 44 sprint cars, again, from all across the country. And it was rookie contender Brad Williette, former midget standout from Missouri, that led most of the race. However, late in the race, Washington driver Seth Bergman slipped by, and he claimed the win for his first ever Lucas Oil ASCS national win. Very scary incident on lap 44. Gary Wright slowed going down the back straightaway. Ernie Ainsworth with nowhere to go piled into the back of him. Wright's car exploded into flames. He was luckily able to get out, but still suffered some minor burns, while Ainsworth, as the fire ignited, it sucked all the oxygen away from him, and he was having a hard time breathing. Meanwhile, when Ainsworth hit Gary Wright, parts fell off his car, and Wayne Johnson, who finished fifth, had to switch helmets as he had a shattered helmet. He had a broken nose and possible fractured jaw from the incident. He switched helmets, even with a bloody face, finished the last 6 laps, and he continues to be the points leader on the tour. Overall, it was a fantastic weekend of racing, great weather, great crowds, and hopefully the sign of things to come for the rest of the year.
Brian Gray, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, I'm there. My phone was on mute because I was trying to pull some metal out of my finger, and it hurt.
Don't be a sissy.
I had it laying down, but there was a bunch of noise.
That first report came from way across the ocean.
Yeah, I told it's my buddy. His name is Donnie Knudsen, and I told him that if it wasn't for the Atlantic Ocean, I would have probably drove to that event.
Oh,
but anyway,
man.
All the way from Cape Town, South Africa, Port Elizabeth, a big community of racers there. They race in clubs. But let's move on. Let's move forward. We're keeping her from working on her race car. Welcome to the program, Miss Mercedes Harris. How are you, Mercedes?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
You can hear the knuckleheads I have to work with.
It sounds
we're
like
not
fun.
that hard-headed.
So
I think every race car driver is hard-headed.
Oh yeah, that's why nobody gets hurt in these things.
That's the secret.
So you're an open wheel modified pilot there out of New Mexico. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, how long you've been racing, and your chassis and all that.
Well, I'm 18. I've been racing for about this is my 8th year, and I'm driving a Shaw right now with GRC updates, and I've been in the A mod. This is my 2nd year. Before this, I was in the X mod, and then I started off in stock cars. So it's been a pretty fun ride.
So how do you get a Shaw? What do you call a Shaw GRT?
Well, it's a Shaw chassis, but it was pretty much like a standard Shaw. And some buddies of mine at the end of last year put some updates on it, and it's actually GRC updates. And they just kind of put on some different mounts and stuff like that.
All right. I was just trying to come up with a name for it, and it kind of was a big fail.
Yeah, it was not GRT, it's GRC. Now, you have a bit of a family background in the sport. Tell us your first memory of a race car.
Oh, boy. Well, actually, when they used to take me to the races when I was really little, I pretty much hated the noise, and I was pretty miserable. And then I just started hanging around the race cars more at the shop and just started I was pretty much the tool getter, and I would clean the trailer, and then I was like, well, I want to know what's going on, so I started helping out on what I could. I I couldn't do much. I think I was about like 70 pounds when I started racing at 11, and so. But I mean, my brother raced for a really long time, and my dad raced for a year, but he's always been around cars, and it just kind of was a given that I was going to get into cars, and it's pretty much just been my whole life.
We talked earlier at some length about you and about your racing career. Tell us, and since this is an all-girl show tonight, girl racers and girl rider. Tell us what it's like to get out there and have to bang fenders with these boys, and do they necessarily like it?
I've gone through a lot being a female racer, but you know, a lot of the feedback that we get is really positive. I mean, it kind of brings attention to you, and some of it's negative, some of it's good, but when I was younger, probably was the hardest because I was 14 years old and I was winning in stock cars, so these guys didn't really care for that. And I've had some share of nasty things said about me, even over the internet, but you just kind of got to shake it off and move on, and it's not really worth anything getting upset over. But I just kind of pay attention to the positive feedback, and a lot of the people we race with at our home tracks, I mean, they're really good about it, and they show us a lot of respect. So it's good.
Just as a racer, and forget you're a female right now, but just as a racer, what's been the most eye-opening experience in your racing?
That's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, it's a really good sport, and I mean, there's some, you know, bad about it. It is pretty dangerous, but I mean, the safety equipment that we have is great, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a lot different. You know, when you walk up to anybody, whether you're a female or a male or whatever, and you tell them that you race cars, it kind of throws them off, and they want to know more about it. So it'd be cool to bring a lot more people into the sport.
So you guys take part in what is called the USRA series out there, and you mentioned home track. What is your home track?
Southern New Mexico Speedway is my home track. It's in Las Cruces, New Mexico. We also race around Tucson, Arizona, and El Paso, Texas, and a few other tracks, but those are like our main three. We pretty much are racing every weekend. This weekend is our opening night in El Paso and in Las Cruces, and then next weekend I'll be back in Tucson, and then it pretty much just offsets with each other. So, you know, it's busy once racing season starts.
Now, we talked earlier, and you have some aspirations of moving up the ladder from open wheel mods. Tell our listeners what one of your dreams is to do one day.
Well, I mean, I see myself in modifieds for a good while. It's a really great class, but I've always had that dream of racing with the World of Outlaw late models. Just kind of always where I've been wanting to go, and just the thought of being able to travel and race for a living would be tons of fun. And I mean, it's a hard life, but definitely one of my big dreams.
All right, so I've asked this question of other drivers that have been on here, and not privy to any information. But let's say you're racing against your dad and your boyfriend for the checker. You're fixing to lap your old man, and you're racing your boyfriend for the win at say a $50,000 race. What do you do?
Win it. That's all there is to do, right?
That's right. I asked one young man. I said, you got your mom in your way, and your girlfriend's on the outside fixing to beat you. What do you do? And he goes, He said, I pull back because I'd have to hear it from both sides all week. He said he wasn't going to win it.
I think I just put up with hearing about it for a week because I think that win would be worth it.
Well, all right. Before we let you go, I want you to thank some of your sponsors and your crew, the guys that keep you up front, or girls if there's girls helping you, and also let our listeners know what your plans are here in the near future as far as racing.
Okay, well, I mean, I got a lot of people to thank. I couldn't do it. I'm a really low-budget team, so my sponsors mean a lot to me. I got people like my brother and his shop, Harris Auto Electric, helping me out. Randy Clark is a great family friend that helps us out. Vitamontes Farms, GVM Graphics, Interstate Batteries. Butler Built has been great about building my seats since I'm so tiny. And MSD Ignition has also helped us out a lot. And I really just got to give all the credit to my brother and my dad. They have supported me through all the years. And my brother pretty much slaves every night on the car, and I couldn't do it without him. And my dad is always there supporting us. So, I mean, I have some great sponsors and a great family backing me up.
Well, all right. And what's on your schedule coming up?
Let's see. We got our opening night, like I said, in El Paso and Cruces this Friday and Saturday, and then we're back in Tucson, I believe, the next weekend, and pretty much just staying around here. Hopefully we have a really good year. We had some tough luck last year, and I'm hoping that we just keep improving and get better, and hopefully I can start traveling once I get some more funds and maybe get the name around and get to see a lot more tracks. I love going to new places.
All right. Well, Mercedes, I really appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on. We'll keep tabs on you. You guys park it in Victory Lane. Make sure you get a hold of me. We'll have you back on.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Mercedes Harris, open-wheel pilot, driver out there in New Mexico. Thank you very much, Miss Mercedes. Well, welcome back in, race fans. On the telephone now, probably one of the most interesting people I've spoke to in a long time, Miss Kathy Jarvis. Miss Kathy, are you with us?
I am. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really blessed to be on your show.
We're blessed to have you, Miss Kathy. I'm going to start out with what your occupation is, and I'm sure you'll have to field some questions from my co-hosts Brian Gray and Kyle May. But you are. I described you as not the fall guy, but the fall girl. You're a Hollywood stunt woman.
I am. I've been working as a stunt professional since 1994, and it's been a great career for myself, and I'm just, I love it. It's great, and I'm still doing it, and I'm working, more up on stunt coordinating and working more with the directors, and actually second unit directing some shows, which is the action unit. And so, I guess I'm all about action.
Now, and you probably get this a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and ask anyway. What stunt might we be familiar with?
Well, I think my most profiled stunt, the one probably everybody's seen, is the 80-foot cliff jump on the movie 6 Days, 7 Nights, where I doubled Anne Hesh and jumped off a cliff with Harrison Ford. So I think that's probably my highest profile stunt, but I've been in G.I. Joe, an Italian Job, and Air Force One, and shows like that. So that's what I do.
Oh, yeah, you're pretty much the coolest guest we've ever had. Sorry, all you late model drivers.
The cool factor just went through the roof.
Yeah, there's not going to be anybody on top of that.
No.
So we spoke offline, and so I guess natural progression here would be talk to us about the first time you laid eyes on our beloved late models.
Well, your beloved late models. It's a story. I was in Michigan working on a movie called LOL, which I believe comes out this weekend with Miley Cyrus and Demi Moore. And
quit being so cool.
Okay. The transportation coordinator on that show heard that I had raced. He heard that I had raced the Baja and had raced a season in Rally America Series, and he invited me out to his son-in-law's track. Well, I was like, yeah, sure. What are we racing? I didn't really care, but I heard I was going to be driving a late model. So in my head, I didn't know what it meant. I was seriously was like 1920s, like how late is this? And is this pavement? What is this? So I guess the next question is like, well, what helmet do I bring? Is it an open face with communication, closed face with air? Do I need communication? It's just I have a plethora of helmets, as you can imagine, in my career and with racing. And they're like, oh, please, just bring a closed face helmet in your driving suit. So I show up at I-96, and they put me in this late model, which I don't know. I still don't know why they're called a late model. I probably should Google it, and since I drive one. And we went left around the track, and I was like, I was out there alone, and they're like, isn't that cool? And I was like, all right, it's all right. And they asked if I'd like to come back the next day, and I did. And the car setup was a little bit different, became a little more fun, and I wasn't really hooked, but I was curious. I was very curious, so I went to the race that Saturday night because I could not imagine, 24 cars out there together. I mean, I was out there alone, and I felt like I needed the whole track. So I went out there and watched a race, and I was like, that's pretty fun. And, it's great family entertainment. It's a great place for the whole family to come together, and I really enjoyed myself. And then a couple weeks later, I traveled down to Ponderosa Speedway. I wasn't working that weekend, and fell in love with it when I watched the 10,000 to win show down at Ponderosa, and I was like, wow, I have to do this sport. Like, my heart rate went up, my adrenaline. I hadn't had an adrenaline rush in a long time, and I was just watching this, So
that's so yeah, you jump off a 80-foot cliff with Indiana Jones, and you hadn't had an adrenaline rush in a while. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
But getting behind the wheel of a 700-800 horsepower dirt late model kind of done it for you for a minute.
Well, what happened is I ran into, I met Andy Stebbins of Andy Stebbins Motorsports, and we talked for a little while, kind of like Webb and I did today, and sat down, and he said, after I saw the races at Ponderosa, he said, he introduced me to C.J. Rayburn, and he said, hey, do you want to race at Fun Fest? Do you want the house cars? And I was like, yeah, sure, why wouldn't I? And so when I went out to do that, it was, it was fun. It was really fun, and it was something that I thought, wheel-to-wheel racing was nothing. It was something I had never done, and I really wanted to do that, have that experience. And I liked it. I thought it was great. And so Andy, after that moment, said, if you're willing to commit to a full season, I will provide you with a chassis and a motor and help you get started in the sport. He's always looking for new ways to bring more people into the sport. He's a huge promoter of modifieds and dirt late models, and so he invited me to go up to Michigan. So I rented a room in a double wide and lived out in Michigan for 6 months last year and took up the sport full force. And a lot of things happened. I mean, good and bad, and it was an experience. But I am one who's always open for an experience. If somebody opens the door and says, the door's open, I'll run through it. I won't even walk through it. I'll jump through it, and dive in deeply, and that's what happened.
Now most people don't come into the sport the way that you have, and I think it's great because you're getting a lot of help from. I mean, C.J. Rayburn, we talked earlier. I mean, I told you that he's probably the inventor of half the technology, or over half, 3/4 of the technology that's used. What's been your experience here recently with Mr. Rayburn?
Yeah, this year I decided to head south. I've heard the tracks are faster and get a little bit more help. I found that, at the end of last year, the last couple months, I was driving to races alone and, all alone, driving my hauler up there, which was funny, but it's actually one of my biggest fears was to have to drive that hauler around in the middle of the night by myself. But whatever. At some point, you're either going to go racing or not. So buck up and take the challenge. Yeah. And so, I did, and I found that a lot of races were there to help me and would save me a spot. And it was it was very lovely, but it was very exhausting. And a lot of people said you're slow because you're not prepping your tires right, and you have nobody there to help you change your setups. I would go with the setup and leave it pretty much. I would move a bar up or down, or 2 bars up or down, or whatever, and that was my whole, my whole bag of tricks. So
you quickly found out there was more to it than put the setup on the car and go there and race, regardless of what's going on at that point in time. There's some, I call it at some point it's a black art knowing what the racetrack is going to do, so you know what to do to the race car.
Yeah, if we even back up, they'll say, can't you see the racetracks changing? Well, put me in desert for desert racing and I can read the sand, but put me on a track and I'm like, yeah, it looks a little drier. I mean, there more dust is in my eye, it was quite an experience, still is. I mean, I would have to say that the experience of being and seeing the sport prior to racing it, you learn to read the dirt and you learn to see how it slicks up or, it's tackier, and how it's changing throughout the night, and how much water they lay down and the different surfaces. Each track has not only its own corners but different surfaces and different dirt and different clay, and that's an art in itself. Not even let's not even talk about all the setups and the engineering that goes into these late models. I mean, that in itself is probably many books.
It's not quite the hillbilly sport that people make it out to be, is it?
In the words of Scott Bloomquist, these are cutting-edge race cars, and they are bad fast.
I would agree totally and completely. So with that being said, I wisened up and headed south to Indiana to hang out with CJ. I called him up and said, "How would you feel about me starting to race out of your shop this year?" And he said, "I would love it." And those who know CJ know that not only is his shop open, but his house is open. I'm staying in one of his guest rooms, and I mean the guy is just offers you everything. Here's my crew, here's my house, here's my just everything. Here's my tools. Here's a laundromat. And at first I just started staying here. I would come down and stay in a hotel, and I think it actually offended him. It took me a little while, but I didn't want to intrude too much. I wanted to come and learn as much as I possibly could, and a couple of his guys go to races with me, and I pay them to go down with me and help me out. And he just is. CJ's just been such. The word is mensch, which means an absolute gentleman, somebody who's just above and beyond. And I'm just so thankful for him and thankful that he doesn't see me as a female driver. He sees me as, like he just told me today, is you're not a driver yet, but you have a lot of potential. So I was trying to get out of him, what is a driver, CJ? What makes a driver? I was really trying to get that out of him, So just curious to know, what does make a driver?
Now, I don't know, but when you find out, let me know.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's the dollar sign sometimes, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, that's part of it, But see, that all the technology is only going to get you so far, because there is a point where, the talent actually has to rise out of the batter.
Yeah, or the nut behind the wheel needs to be loosened or tightened, considering what the problem might be, right?
Typically, when it's tacky, it needs to be loosened.
The nut.
and that's actually a true statement.
I would believe you. When it gets tacky, you need to let your hair down and get wild, and let the colors fly, and
I do have a
ball going.
We do have a catchphrase for that, but I've been informed prior to the show that I should not use that.
No, we don't want.
Okay. Well, filter yourself.
Yeah.
Tighten the nut.
Yeah, tighten the nut behind the wheel, Brian.
What you got to do is grab that strap, the middle one and the bottom, and beep, 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 beep.
Hold on tight. Now, I said dollar sign for a reason. It was a segue into the door number or symbol that you use, Miss Kathy. Please explain to our listeners, and I should have put one up so people could see it, but explain to the listeners what the meaning is behind your door number and that it's not a number.
Yeah, I think one of our biggest conflicts at CJ Rayburn's is CJ hates my number. And I say, well, if it was a number, I get it, that you can't really tell it's a number, but it's not a number. It's actually the oldest written symbol in the world, and it's called Om. And it's an old Vedic symbol, and it really, it has a lot of meaning, and it's all-inclusive, and it's expansive, and it has just this really great depth to it. But, to just shorten it up, it just means pure potential. And I run that on my car, and last year somebody said, hey, doesn't Bloomquist have that in his Zero? And I said, I don't know. I don't know much about the sport. And then I saw that Scott was running it on the top of his car this year, and I thought, as many ohms as we can get out there, as many of that it creates a field of just energy and a positiveness, and that's just such a great symbol to have. So, the tower calls me number 30, but I'm like, no, it's an ohm, but I get you. And so some of the racetracks I've raced at last year, like Mount Pleasant, they know. They'll say, oh, ohm is here.
Now, is it just coincidence that CJ says you're not a driver, but you got tons of potential, because that's what the symbol means?
Yeah, and so maybe he is listening. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. That's great that you just said that, because he does say, he's told me from day one, you have a ton of potential, and I love that. When he says that, it makes my heart warm, and it's a very great thing to hear out of CJ Rayburn's mouth, and I love that.
The first time I got to meet CJ, he told me how stupid I was and how stupid the parts I was selling was. Or no, he didn't say that. He said we made those same mistakes, son, 25 years ago, and I just sat there and took it. I think you have to take it from CJ at least once to be in our sport. to officially be in our sport. So now, as I understand it, you have some aspirations for this summer. One of the biggest events this summer, and each racing season is the UMP Hell Tour. Is there something in the works for you there?
Well, there absolutely is. I went to one Hell Tour event last year, and it just what happened. There was, I thought, wow. I mean, has a woman never run the Hell Tour? And I talked to Sam about that. He said no, and I didn't really think about it until I was at IMIF, and I thought, you know what, I want to run the Hell Tour. Like, I want to run this. And I talked a little bit to Rusty about it and Jason Furter, and and then I thought about it, and I went to CJ, and I said, someday, my dream is to run the Hell Tour. And he said, Kathy, why wait for someday? If you want to do it now, because you don't know where you're going to be next year. And I said, that is so true. And I, heeding my own advice is, if you want to do something, seize the moment, because that moment may be gone before you know it. And so I have my eyes set on, running the Summer Nationals this year and going out and being the first female to get out there on these tracks and run 29 races in 31 days across 8 states, covering 5,000 miles, towing miles. And I'm sure it's going to be, probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's going to bring out every negative and positive emotion a human being can have. And,
well, they don't call it the Hell Tour for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, come on, they don't. And so, I'm just excited. I think if I'm, since I'm not a driver now, I hope that by the end of 29 nights in a race car, that at some point in there I become a driver. And I'm also taken on for that challenge because, a lot of people do have, I ran 35 races last year, got scored for 35 races last year and ran like 40 and then went out every time I could to practice. That took me 6 months. This is 29 races in 31 days, and I believe to get good at anything you do, you have to do it day in and day out and, live it, eat it, sleep it, to become one with it. And so that's another reason I chose it is, I don't have 20 years to become very good at this sport. I'm in it now, and I want to do the best I can now. And how do you do the best? Well, you seize it every day, and you go up. So
you should probably let Rayburn. Once he calls you a driver, you should probably put the ohm somewhere on your wrap and let him pick the number. Just to make him, it might make him happy. To do
he's going to pick number 1 because all his cars are number 1.
Well, that also fits in one with everything.
Yeah, she won with everything. So, it's all synergistic. It's all coming together. This sport is, I did expect, you have to, I guess it's on, I don't know how to get into this, but being on the track and being a female, we had our hits last year a lot, and it wasn't until I started really going alone that the guys were like, wow, she's not going away. And they became very, not all of them, but many of them became very helpful and very supportive, that I was out there, because they saw that it was in my heart and I was putting everything I had into it, And, I don't live in Michigan. I don't live in Indiana. I left my home. I left everything to come out and do the sport. And now that I've decided to come south and to run in Kentucky and Indiana and Ohio and Illinois, and it's almost as if I'm starting over. It's almost as if I'm a thread again, and it's that I'm a misfit. I'm a fish out of water, and and so I'm just hoping that I can drive well enough to get some respect out there and to have some clean racing and to not be spending my time and my money fixing my car every weekend, That's what I'm hoping, is to get some shots and just drive some clean races. And I do know that rubbing is racing, so everybody out there, I do know that, and I do know that bumping and grinding is all part of the sport, and I love that part. That's why I'm in it, But the other stuff it's frustrating.
Well, before we let you go, and I hate to have a condensed conversation with you because you are such an interesting driver. Besides being a driver, I'll call you a driver. If you're in it, if you're taking a green flag, in my opinion, you're a driver. So, before we let you go, talk to. I have a Facebook friend that just sent me a question for you. Buddy of mine wants to know if you're going to be at Eldora this year.
have this. I don't know about Eldora. I hear about it, and I guess I should put that on my list. I don't know what to believe, so ask your friend this. I hear that you need a big motor to run out there. I don't have a big motor in my car. I mean, I do have a nice-sized motor, and it's great. I hear that I need more motor to run the half mile. And then I've also heard just the other day that I've heard that some 525s have been out there and done quite well. So if I can be competitive, I absolutely want to go to Eldora.
I believe, Kathy, and now correct me if I'm wrong, Webb, but is it Fast Track or Neesmith that does the crate deal over there?
In the past, Fast Track has run an event.
I think they're doing another. I think they're so you're running the 525 in it right now.
Well, I'm running a 525 with a distributor. This engine has been great. Actually, this one I just got at the end of last year, and it's dynoing around 680. So, but I hear, and I could, this is just rumors. There's a lot of things that are said in the sport, and who knows? Is that you need like 800, horsepower to get on that track at Eldora.
Yeah, anybody that's putting 800 horsepower to the ground's full of crap, Kathy. Go up there and get on the tack. With Mr. Slack is doing the prep now, which I hear the last few races up there have been absolutely awesome. That place is fast as it gets.
Yeah, then I would love to go to I would love to go to Eldora. I know that Tony Stewart runs that, owns that track, and I've heard so many, Eldora is, it's like up there. If you hear the name and you get excited and you think, oh, someday I want to go there. And I don't know if anybody, I'd like people to go to Indiegogo and look up my name, Kathy Jarvis, and we have a clip on there of what, of raising some money and some donations to go through the Hell Tour. And, my husband's put that together for me, and there's a shot of Eldora. And every time I watch that clip, which has probably been, I don't know, at least 10, 15 times, my heart rate goes up and I get so excited. I just see this pullback camera of Eldora, and I just get so excited. So please tell your Facebook friend, yes, I will then go to Eldora. After this conversation, you guys have talked me into it. I'm excited, and
well, if you feel the need to go, now I've never raced a late model up there. I've been up there in a modified and just a street stocker, but I'm going to make my trip up to Eldora this year. You pick the weekend. I got a steel block 358, so I got less motor than you, and we'll go and we'll make the show.
All right. I love that. And I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for supporting me and the fans. I mean, I get so many hits on Facebook and people asking me to come to their local tracks, and I just feel like there's so many people out there that are pulling for me and want me to come up and race with them. And there's so many racers who've been really kind and said really nice things, and I feel like I'm almost fit into the family, that I'm almost maybe a late model driver, and I'm meeting people every day. And the sport's just a great sport, and I would just like everybody to know I'm doing my best at promoting the sport and to try to get new people out there and to bring this into my world, because in the West we don't have this sport. And I didn't even know it existed, and now that it does, I'm just so excited to share it with friends and families and new sponsors and new people, and it really is a part of Americans Fiber, and I'm just so blessed to be in it and to have this opportunity, and before I die in this lifetime, because it's quite amazing. And so I just want to thank all the fans that come out and show up and talk to me and cheer me on and root for me. It's such a great feeling. I really am a fish out of water, and you guys are keeping me afloat and keeping me in the sport. And so I just appreciate that. And I appreciate Andy Stebbins. I would not be in the sport without him. I would know nothing about the sport without him. And CJ, of course, and his whole crew, that are helping me out. And, we brought on a sponsor, ASEA, and Micro Armor called me and said they wanted to be part of our team, and I love that. It's just great to have people come on and say, hey, we're watching you, and we support you. And I ask everybody, to make one Hell Tour race, just make one of them, and come out and support us. And, we'll have shirts and hats, and I often throw some out to the crowd, and just to thank you guys for showing up, to thank all the fans for showing up.
Well, you certainly got the interview down, and thank all your sponsors, and I'm already a big fan just from speaking with you. Can't wait to get to watch you go around. There's an old saying that you should be aware of in racing, and that it's simple as this: Just go out there and give them hell. Just go out there.
Yeah. Well, let's just say this way. This is a chance, if people can go to Indiegogo, even, for $5, it's your chance to send a woman driver to hell. I mean,
that's right. And that's probably been said once or twice, Kathy, by over the years when there is somebody probably women drivers can go to hell. Probably have said that. Now it's their chance. They can help pay for it.
I'm pretty sure, Webb, that day going down 32 when we pulled up next to her trailer going to the Dramarama hole at Moeller's, somebody had made that comment. Oh no, there's another woman.
Yeah, there's another woman, she can go to hell. So I'm saying to all of you, yes, there's another woman, she can go to hell. So help send me to hell. I'd be happy to go.
just tagged your drive for the hell tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, women drivers can go to hell, and I hope next year it says women drivers can go to hell and back.
Women drivers are welcome in hell.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That's funny because I was laughing at a shirt my crew chief Greg has on, and it said the hell tour. The boys are back in town, and I thought, well, what are they going to put on their necks? The boys and the girl.
You go out there and win a few of them, they'll put whatever the heck you want on them shirts. I promise.
Exactly. And I want to thank some of the tracks who, a lot of times they'll say, gentlemen, start your engines, or thank you, gentlemen, for showing up, and some of these tracks actually say, hey, boys and girl, or thank you, at Ponderosa the other night, it just cracked me up. They were like, hey, guys, good show, thanks, guys, and Miss Jarvis.
Well.
So just to be included just feels really good.
Well, like I said, I'm a fan. I'm pretty sure. Brian, don't you have a question you want to ask her before we let her go?
I did, but I'm just dumbfounded now.
You wanted it was about her vocation.
Oh yeah, how do I get a job being a stunt guy?
Well,
we did talk about that.
You guys have sayings in your world, and we have saying in ours. And how do you become a stunt person? You wait till one dies.
Oh, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, that's what they say, and I say, you have a talent and you have a dream, you go after it. And, to get into the stunt world, again, I knew nobody in it, as I have nobody, nobody in my family races. I don't know where it came from, a past life, I'm sure, The same with stunts. I didn't know anybody in it, and somebody suggested it. And I was working in a hospital, in Primary Children's Hospital, and somebody said, you should be, I had an epiphany, you should be a stunt woman. And I was like, that's a weird profession. I wonder who does that. And it was more out of curiosity that I sought out a stunt coordinator and went to a movie set and was welcome on the set. And he ended up hiring me, 10 days later. So it was kind of meant to be again. It was one of those moments. But as I want to tell, on my school tours, when I go out and talk to the kids in schools, and I really talk about living your dream, that picture what you want your life to be. And if you want it to be a stunt person or a race car driver or a doctor or a lawyer, picture that and do the steps to make that happen, and to open the doors. When, somebody says, hey, do you want to drive this car? Yeah. Okay, I'll drive 2 hours from Detroit to go to some place I have no idea where I'm going and find a way to do it. Is to always seize the moment, and when somebody opens the door, you see an opportunity, take the opportunity. You never know where it's going to lead to, and you may not like it, and you may, and that's how I live my life, is if somebody suggests something and it pops in my head, I'm very curious, and I will go out and give it a shot.
And if they won't open the door, knock the damn thing down.
That's right, kick it in.
Just blow it up.
That's it.
Well, Miss Kathy, I certainly appreciate you joining us. We're going to keep tabs on you, and hopefully throughout the summer have you back on occasion. Maybe celebrate a win or two.
I'd love that, and I'd love to see you guys at the Hell Tour, and it's great to talk to both of you. So thank you so much, and namaste.
Namaste, and that'll just be. We'll just leave that at that, okay, Miss Kathy?
All right.
We'll keep everybody guessing on namaste. All right, Miss Kathy Jarvis, late model driver, stunt woman. All around badass. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
I mean, really, how does it feel now after that interview to know that lady's cooler than all of us combined?
I don't know about all of us combined, Webb. I'm pretty freaking cool, man.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Have you ever jumped from an 80-foot cliff with Indiana Jones?
I haven't grown the balls to do that yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That lady's cooler. She's cooler than all of us combined. Now, welcome to the program, Miss Amanda Clevenger. She is a writer with the website allgirlpitcrew.com. Miss Amanda, sorry for your wait, and are you with us?
I am, and I appreciate you letting me come after that. I definitely haven't jumped off anything with Indiana Jones, that's for sure.
That's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, we should probably just let her interview you, because we don't even count anymore.
Yeah, we should have cut that short.
Anyway,
actually,
go ahead.
I do have some great things to talk about. I do write for a up-and-coming website, allgirlpitcrew.com, and it's for fans, by fans, and it does actually appeal to female fans. And I think some people think that's kind of crazy, but actually my boss clearly has done his research, and it states that 40 million fans are actually female fans. So a sport that used to be exclusively male is actually changing. Women are filling the seats, especially in NASCAR. And this is evident, I think, through a lot of the sponsors. And the reasons why they said that females are attracted to the sport, a few reasons, really. Some like the need for speed, and some of it's more like a material thing, the good looks of our Dale Jr. and Casey Canes. But sponsors have actually noticed this trend, and more companies are marketing towards females, like household products, Clorox, Tide, Kellogg's. So it is a sport for females, despite the tradition of a male-dominated sport. And
now,
that's what this...
do you think that the draw for the sponsors has got anything to do with the fact that Danica Patrick gets way more attention than what a lot of people think she deserves?
Well, it's not just that, but think of the attention that Casey Kane got for being people's most eligible bachelor. Making attractive men the face of a sport like NASCAR does draw in female fans, especially in a time of economic downfall. So, it's a marketing thing. What sells tickets is what's going to be marketable. And I think that's the appeal of the website. It doesn't just focus on attractive drivers. We are actually doing articles on female racers as well.
Now,
we like to get a whole girl that just talk. Man, she's amazing.
It's the idea of marketing to the female in the household is, and guys out there, you're going to argue this. And I'm married. I know how it works. The female controls most of the spendable income in a family. They're the ones going out buying the groceries.
Exactly. And
that's why marketing leans toward the female slant so much. And I can't believe that we don't have more Tide in the sport, more zestfully clean, or because the dirt and soap and washing powders and all that stuff, it just seems like a marketer's dream. Plus, it's just down home folks like me and Brian and Kyle and their families who go to the racetracks. We go to Winn-Dixie or Kroger and buy these products. It just seems like a real silly thing that they're not in the sport.
Well, one article that I read, I think it's going to hit home, and I think just like any type of change, there's a hesitance to change, especially since, this has been a sport where, a testosterone-driven sport where men are outdoing men. But it said at the end of the article, one thing is evident: NASCAR's growing female fan base will have an everlasting effect on auto racing seen today. And I think that sponsors will get hit, especially during times of a recession. If they want to sell tickets, they will start marketing towards the people that are buying the tickets. And right now, it is the female fan base. Now,
let's switch gears a little bit and talk. There's a little bit of a lighter side to allgirlpitcrew.com, and that is, well, you said that that's kind of almost, there's some heartthrob stuff going on with the male drivers and the female fans. And here's what I propose. Kyle May is one of our. Kyle May is one of our co-hosts. And he's a young 20-year-old hot shoe from Pisgah, Alabama. What can we do to get him in front of the masses of female fans so they can get the Kyle May? We'll make a calendar. We'll get Kyle May and make a calendar. Kyle May.
I'm sorry, Kyle. I'm not laughing.
I think we should do like a Old Spice or a Axe commercial with dirt track, and that should be the model on there.
Yes, we could do it. Look at me. Look at my race car. Look back at me. Look at my race car. Look back at me.
Well, your wish is my command. We have a kid, a local kid. I live near Fayetteville. His name was Travis Yao. I laughed like a little schoolgirl. Anything that kid said, I was laughing. And one of the last things that I asked him, if racing didn't work out, what would he do? And jokingly, he said an underwear model. And I said, well, I sure hope he's not joking about that. And I put that in the article. Yeah. And stuff like that. I mean, it's not all heartthrob stuff. Like, we do serious interviews because, I mean, just like that female that spoke, not all girls are interested in the fluff about racing. There really are some diehard fans, but again, there really are two sides to why females like NASCAR or racing altogether. And it's not just dirt track, super late models. We've also done go-kart drivers. So it's a pretty broad span of racing that we do cover on the website. But I'd love to interview them. For me, I get to go around interviewing cute race car drivers.
Yeah, I get to go interview race car drivers, but I don't think I've ever used the word cute. If I did, I'd probably get beat up.
Hey, Whit, why don't you go interview those cute race car drivers?
There's some of them that they think they're cute in different ways. But anyway, now how long has the website been around?
It's only been live about 2 months. You can find us both on Twitter and on Facebook. We started with people that I could interview locally, but it's expanded. I mean, Facebook is a crazy way. Social media has just changed the absolute face of just everything. I went from 600 friends on Facebook to 1,500 in a week of guys and girls who wanted to be interviewed on the website. So a lot of the times right now, of course, funding, just like with racing, is we can't just send me everywhere across the world, but we do interviews via email. People will send in their pictures. I did a kid, his name was Chad Wright from Pennsylvania. He had an amazing story. He actually won Rookie of the Year the same year his father was diagnosed with cancer and grandfather died. So it's not just a heartthrob thing. One of the biggest appeals for me is actually getting to talk to and meeting people and just finding out just how genuine the racing community is.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you taking your time out of your evening to speak with us. Anything you need from me, I got Brian Gray here, who's probably more than willing to do an interview. Kyle May, more than willing to do an interview. So anything I can do to help you guys in the future, give me a call, share my contacts with you. What's coming up on the website before we let you go? And is there any sponsors of the website you'd like to thank, or your boss?
Actually, he's kind of the undercover face of it right now, so we won't mention any names. But I do have a up-and-coming girl. Her name's Kayla Dean, 13 years old. She races at the Dillon Motor Speedway, and she's a real go-getter. We also have a brother-sister team. She used to be the Sprint Cup girl, and his name is Ryan Rose. Her name's Ann Rose, and he's a driver of the All-American Wheeling Series, that's all, NASCAR, and those two will be featured also. So those two are coming up also.
Anything that promotes racing overall, I appreciate it, and I think all our listeners do. So we'll keep tabs on you. Like I said, if you guys need anything, get a hold of me. We'll stay in contact, either social media or we got each other's telephone numbers. So thank you for coming on the show, Miss Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
And with that, we're going to move right on to Miss Lakeetha Skinner. Should be on the phone with us. Let's see here. Miss Lakeetha Skinner, how are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
I'm making it. Sorry you had to wait so long. We ran a little. Did you get to listen to the show?
Yes, sir, I have. I've listened to everybody, and I just don't know how I'm going to hold up to those women.
No, listen. You belong just as much as the rest of them do. So we know each other from here local. You're a local open wheel modified driver here in the Alabama area. Tell the listeners outside the area a little bit about yourself and some of your racing exploits.
Well, I didn't start off racing as a kid. My husband is to blame. He was in with his cousin Greg Skinner. He used to drive late models.
The Shark.
All over. Yes, sir. That's him. And he had quit to get married and build a house, and that's when me and my husband met, and he took me to the Hornet's Nest over here at Talladega Short Track, and he said, well, this is what we do on the weekends. What do you think? And I said, well, let me watch a little bit, and then I'll let you know if I like it or not. Well, I watched a couple laps, and I said, when can I have one? So it was a love match after that. I started out in go-karts. I had they call them junior, senior, late models. Basically, it's a go-kart with a full roll cage, seat belts, and a sheet metal body. I did that for about 4 years, and I won. The year I won the points championship was I won 16 out of 22 races at 2 different tracks. And then I took a break, and we sold it, and I went in business for myself, and I don't know why I quit. And so after that, I was on my husband to get me an open wheel modified. I heard that the open wheel modifieds are real challenging to drive, and I like challenging things. The little 8-inch tires are not the best to manage and to get forward drive out of. But I had a local racer, Terry Smith. He built my first open wheel. He had a jig at his house, and the rest is history. I now drive a Rocket by Ruman, Brian Ruman from up in Michigan.
Just won a race at Moeller's recently.
Yes, sir.
And also, he's an alumni of In the Dirt. He's been on the show with us.
Been in a fight with Chad Stapleton, even.
Brian Ruman's done a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. What's different? It's like a late model, basically, from the firewall back, and then he's got his geometry on the front end. And when he gets out of his late model and goes into his open wheel, there's no difference as far as it handling. And it does the same thing. So by far, I've had a Larry Shaw, and I won the points championship at Green Valley Speedway in Glencoe, Alabama, in 2009 with a Larry Shaw. And then I went into the Rocket chassis, and it's just I can't. I like it.
Now were you met with any? Being and the theme tonight is female drivers and female participants. Were you met with any? Did you have to run into obstacles with your male counterparts in the sport?
Oh yes, by far. It's a tough man's world to try to be. And when a woman shows up, they're like, oh, that girl can't drive. Well, in the heat race, I outrun you. And they're like, oh, man, I can't believe I cannot live up to being beat by a woman. What in the world is,
And that's very true, because that's what I say. If I get beat by a woman, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Right.
But really though, that's the cool thing about our sport. A woman can't go into the NBA and necessarily compete with the men on a physical level, or the NFL, or.
You're in trouble with that one, Webb.
No, I'm not. But that's what's great about racing. Racing is all inclusive. You're not going to see a professional women's league in racing. Racing's racing.
No, there's no separation.
Yeah, if you don't
have no women's league, no little kids league, no nothing. It's all right. You want to play? Come on.
And trust me, the word powder puff is not taken well by actual female racers. I mean, I know we have racetracks that do powder puffs, but that's not what these ladies, the ladies we're talking to, that's not what they do. Recently, you and your family had a bit of a tragedy. Would you care to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Last year, August of last year, we had a house fire. And we had a 5,200 square foot house. It was a total loss within 20 minutes. My daughter has now taken over my junior late model, and she won the points championship last year in the go-kart series. Well, her go-kart was in the basement, and the firefighters wanted to know if there was anything in the basement that we wanted to save, before the house collapsed in the basement. And we told them, well, if you can just, get right here just door, there's a race car that if you can just pull it out, just let the rest of it go. It's my daughter's, and it would mean a lot to me. They said, no problem. They went in there, didn't think twice about it. They drug her race car out, undamaged. And I have to give my husband some props here. We had, that Saturday before the house fire, we had a bad night at the Hornet's Nest. I got stung a bunch of times. And I had gotten into a wreck. And so normally on a Sunday afternoon, we would get it out and wash it, put it in the basement, and get ready for the following week. Well, that Sunday afternoon, we had gotten in a wreck, And so he said, well, I'm just going to leave it in the trailer and get it out Monday. I said, okay. Well, when we come up here on the hill, it's dark, and you can't see how to back the trailer out. Well, normally where he parked it, it ended up being probably 15, 20 foot away from the house from where he normally parks it. And so I told him that I was going to quit aggravating him about, getting the car out and washing it and aggravating him, hurry up, let's go to the races. And I told him that, that was one thing that I liked. I appreciated him parking way out there. If it was right there by the house, we probably would have lost the trailer and the truck and the race car and everything else. But after the fire, we still had our race cars, and we had everybody's life, and that really is all that matters. We had a house fire and lost everything, but we were blessed enough to have family and friends, and we got our house back, and actually we moved in last night, and I went racing twice this year, and I won my first race this year at the Hornet's Nest. The first weekend I went back after the house fire. Was 3 weeks ago on April the 14th, and that meant a lot to me and to my husband and family to be able to get back into racing and have the mindset to actually to win and win it real bad. So, we are, everything's looking up this year, from the house fire and all. And I got my first win under my belt, so we're looking forward to getting more of them.
Well, looking forward to the year, are you guys just going to be at the Hornet's Nest? Are you going to be able to get out anywhere? What's the plans this year?
Well, I'd like to travel and look beyond the horizon. And I'm a firm believer, if you want to become a better driver, you have to drive and compete with the best. And that only makes you better. But unfortunately, the Hornet's Nest is not open wheel modifieds in the extreme south is not a big thing. So I would have to go to Jackson, Mississippi, or all the way to Tennessee, extreme north. So we're hoping that we can get some sponsors this year and do a little bit more traveling to expand my driving skills.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time to come on the program with us. Well, we've kind of talked about it here several times over the last few months, and I always try to snap some photos of open wheel cars around out because I know how much you appreciate that.
I do. I like that. Thank you so much.
I was out in Brian out in Arizona, and I took a photo. It's on In the Dirt's Facebook page where I was in the flag stand, and I got a great picture of the guy dropping the green on some open wheels, and Miss Lakeetha was the first person to comment. She was like, "Oh my, OMG, like OMG, it's open wheel cars." But yeah, appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure.
Next time we have, well, I'll tell you what. Next time you guys cross the finish line first, give me a call. We'll have you on to start the show and talk about your victory.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, we'll see you over at Talladega, Miss Lakeetha. Lakeetha Skinner, she's an open wheel pilot over there at Talladega Short Track, and you can catch her hopefully at some different tracks this year. When we come back, we're going to have Mr. Jonathan Gallen. He is the announcer at Clay Hill Motorsports Park up in Atwell, Tennessee, to preview the Neesmith Dirt Late Models Touring Series race coming up there this weekend. We get back here on In the Dirt. All right, welcome back in, race fans, to In the Dirt. One of my favorite shows so far. The ladies of our sport were on. Brian, it was probably one of our best shows, I would think. Yeah, pretty good. But, dude, we were having a good discussion. I thought we should be discussing that, like, right now. No. Yeah, dude, there wasn't nothing bad about that. You're fixing to get the blue button. Kathy Jarvis is married. Kyle. Kyle.
I appreciate y'all saying that.
Listen. She jumped from an 80-foot cliff with Indiana Jones. And Kyle did not say anything inappropriate, and I'm not being sarcastic. No, yeah, he did. And with that, we're going to move on. Mr. Jonathan Gowan, the voice of Clay Hill Motorsports Park there in Atwell, Tennessee. Jonathan, how you guys doing up there?
We're doing all right. How are y'all?
Just trying to make the sport of dirt late model racing better by running our dumb heads about it. And Webb, he's been on hold for, 15, 20 minutes, and just comes right on and happy as can be. Welcome aboard, Jonathan.
Hey, we're ready for it tonight. And I was listening to the last couple of callers there, especially the young lady just before me. She was talking about open wheel modifieds. It's a little bit more prevalent up north. We've got open wheel modifieds every week at Clay Motorsports, so you need to just head on up north. Check us out.
I'll get Lakeetha. I'll get Lakeetha on the horn one of these days and get her up there. I had the privilege of going to a Southern All-Star race there at your Speedway, I believe, 2 years ago. Scott Bloomquist was victorious. This weekend coming up, you guys are bringing the series I work for. My other gig is media director for the Neesmith Dirt Late Model Series. Talk to us about what we have in store for the fans of the Clay Hill Motorsports Park.
Well, this Saturday night, May the 5th, will be our opening race night for 2012. And as you said, we've got the Neesmith Crate Late Model Touring Series, $2,500 to win, 50-lap main event, plus all of our other racing classes. And I'm actually going to be going to Malden Speedway on Friday night, the 4th, and kind of get a little preview myself of exactly how all of this, the Neesmith Crate Late Models work. This will be the first season that we've been sanctioned under the Neesmith series, so I'm really looking forward to this and just kind of see how everything turns out this weekend, and hopefully get to Malden and invite everybody out to Clay Motorsports and have a pretty good 2-day show amongst both of the racetracks.
Well, I'll certainly get you around the pits and introduce you to some of our touring guys. And there at Malden, I'll be there doing my duty up there, filming and whatnot. Now, the track itself there at Clay Hill is really, really, really great facility. Hey, Brian, you know those gymnasium seats that they scoot into the wall, and they pull them out for games? Okay, so I go to Clay Hill the first time, and they got this, immaculate grandstands on either side of, and it looks like a NASCAR facility nearly. That's how cool it is. And I always walk around the new racetrack when I get there, and not inspecting, but just taking it all in. These guys have taken like big pillars and made these flat rollers they've taken. How many steps is that? Do you know, Jonathan?
Not really sure on that one though. But
it's a full size bleacher. They got out of a gymnasium somewhere, and they just left it open. But it's huge. It's nearly. It's about a quarter of the backstretch of Talladega Superspeedway. That's how big. It's a quarter of the Allison grandstands. You guys have been open for how long now?
Under the current owner, Dale Nelson, we've been open since 2002. And Clay Motorsports was actually built, I believe, in 1990. And then it's kind of opened and closed under a couple of different managements. But this one right here is the longest standing ownership that we've had, like I said, since middle of 2002. And Dale Nelson, he's a racer himself. He come from a big racing background, been racing all his life, so he knows what it takes to run a racetrack and to run it, like it needs to be run and be able to invite a lot of cars each and every night and put on a good show for the fans and still get out, at a good hour and get everybody back home.
Well, all right. Well, before we let you go, first of all, I appreciate you coming on. I want you to thank some of the track sponsors. Give us your website and maybe talk about another big event that you guys have coming up this year.
Well, a couple of other events that we've got coming up. Of course, this Saturday night, May the 5th. Got all of our regular classes going to be running as well. Pure Street, under 18 Hummers, over 18 Hummers, Street Stock, Hobby, Open Wheel Modified, and then of course the 50-lap main event for the Neesmith Freight Late Models. And as for some of the other special events, on Memorial Day, Monday, May the 28th, we got the USCS Winged Outlaw Sprint Cars coming that night. And then the next big event will be June the 28th on a Thursday, and that's going to be the UMP Dirt Car Summer Nationals Hell Tour. Will be visiting Clay Motorsports. And then you head all the way down to August. It'll be the last 2 days in August and the first day of September. We've got our Open Wheel Modified Motor Madness. I believe this is the third annual Open Wheel Modified Motor Madness. It'll pay $5,000 to win both Friday night and Saturday night. And all of that information can be found on ClayoMotorsports.com. And you can also find a lot of our website sponsors and our track sponsors on there. Of course, we can be found on Facebook as well. You can just search Clay Motorsports. Also on Twitter.com/Clayhill Racing. And one of the quickest ways to get the latest and up-to-date information about Clay Hill, especially if the R word comes into play and we have some showers on race day, you can always know the quickest by sending a text message to 69302. Just write the word Clay Hill, clear out your signature, write the word Clay Hill, and text it to the number 69302. And as soon as I know something is happening, or if we have a rain out or something, then that's going to be the quickest way. It'll be right there on your cell phone. So you got several ways of kind of keeping up with Clayo Motorsports. And but like I said, you can go to ClayoMotorsports.com and check out all of our upcoming events, our website sponsors, track sponsors. We even have picture puzzles on there on the extras page. You can have a car spread all over your screen and then put it back together again. So we've got some cool little deals on ClayoMotorsports.com.
All right, Jonathan. Well, I certainly look forward to seeing you Friday there at Malden, Missouri. We'll get together and get ready for that big race up in Atwell. Well, appreciate you coming on, man.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all having me on here, and I look forward to both Friday night and Saturday night. And hope we can get a lot of race fans out there, a lot of drivers and stuff, and we'll have a good opening to 2012 in Atwood, Tennessee.
Well, that was Jonathan Gowan, the announcer of Clay Hill Motorsports Park. Hollywood.
Yo.
Mr. May.
Yes, sir.
I think that's about it, ain't it?
I don't know. Is that it?
Is there anybody else on the line? I thought we
Shoot, there ain't not. I thought we had somebody calling in.
Let me make sure.
I mean, come on.
Let me make sure.
You guys all got me all psyched up. I was waiting. I'm sitting here watching my videos on getting my, demeanor together.
You have a demeanor?
Oh, yeah. I can change it.
No.
Just whenever.
Before we do go,
I'm sure I used that word exactly properly.
Well, we'll wait, see if we have a call, but what in the heck happened? Did somebody do something to your motor at Moeller's?
Dude, it is a bad deal. And, if I would have found just maybe couple little, maybe a little piece or something like that, I would have said, we were changing the carburetor, something fell down in there. But, no. No, and the thing is that it didn't damage any, it didn't really destroy everything. It just damaged it enough to make it not run properly. So, I mean, it didn't blow the bottom end out and tear the oil pump up, but it did damage it, and I am 100% positive that it was something done deliberate. And it sucks. And
but that's I mean, okay. Not to I don't want to dissect the whole situation, but I do want to say
because I've already replayed it over and over and over, and hindsight's 20/20 when you look back on things. But when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, you're like, why are you such an idiot? That's just what I keep telling myself.
Well, it couldn't have been a driver who did something like that.
I would hope not.
I mean, it just doesn't seem. I mean, I've known drivers to punch a man in the mouth.
I'd much rather that. And everybody knows. Well, maybe that's the thing. Maybe everybody knows I'm waiting for that to happen, so that wouldn't be much of a surprise.
They heard you were cage fight training.
Yeah. I train every day. Every single day at the power station. And every once in a while I'm lucky enough to get up there with Rich Franklin. And they're trying to get me to go do this frickin' MMA fight, and there ain't no way in hell.
You should challenge. You should get the Moeller Raceway Park to let you and Stapleton.
I put a challenge out there to a few guys. I'm going to see if they'll take me up on it. But the challenge is out there.
Dude, there's a flea market up here that I can get the hook up on some Hispanic wrestling masks. They got a bunch of them.
That would be cool. I don't know if that would help. It wouldn't help with the breathing, but dude, I was so bad out of shape. Back in November, I didn't even realize how bad out of shape I was. But listen, I'm getting pretty good. I'm getting pretty good now. I feel good. I feel better.
Don't overshadow the Hispanic wrestling mask. You gotta let me finish that. So,
okay.
So Brandy and I we went up to the flea market. We get some plants for the yard, and probably we bought some vegetables. And as we're walking, you take in the fair, everything that is a flea market, and all of a sudden, over the horizon of row 12, I thought I saw something, and as I got closer, I could not believe my eyes. And I bet you there was 30 different flavors of Hispanic wrestling masks.
Hold on. You're telling me there's a Hispanic wrestling mask store in a flea market in Alabama?
Yes. And
How freaking cool is that?
Dude, I was about well, they also sell other important things like toilet paper rolls with air freshener in the middle of them.
Uh-huh.
They also sell
let's take it together.
They also sell garden tools that'll probably break after one use. So that was a potpourri of stuff. But the only diamond in the rough was these 30 different. And now there was actually 30 different flavors of Hispanic wrestling masks. And I was about 2.2 seconds. I was begging my wife at one point to to pull me away because I was going to buy one. I don't know where or when or how I would use it, wear it. It probably would have involved being in public, and more than likely at a racetrack.
Nacho Libre.
Oh, it's
Nacho Libre.
It's
Rey
beautiful.
Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, yeah, whatever. But I'll probably end up with one.
He's Kenny Powers' bodyguard.
If anybody out there is looking for them, I can get them. You can reach me at inthedirtradio@gmail.com and send twice the money because I'll let you buy mine, and then we'll wrestle.
Dude, you should get one and take a picture.
Brother, I'm telling you, I was so close. And one of them had like this weird fringe on it, and then like flaming ears, like it was like a devil mask of sorts. It was, I don't know what kind of wrestling, but it was a sight to behold. Well, I don't think we're going to get this other caller. It don't look like.
Yeah.
We'll make. It was a surprise guest. We'll surprise the listeners with him some other time. So on the way out, let's thank all our guests. I'd like to thank Miss Mercedes Harris, the open wheel modified driver out of New Mexico, for coming on. She's hell on wheels. Then we got to thank Miss Jarvis, Kathy Jarvis, for coming on. She falls in love with the sport here about 2-3 years ago.
Kyle May fell in love with Kathy Jarvis 20 minutes into the interview.
Oh,
he had to put the phone on mute. He's breathing a little hard.
Oh my gosh, here we go. I wonder about this. So I'd like to thank Miss Kathy Jarvis for coming on here, and I'd like to thank my squirrel-headed friend Brian for not being rude till the end of the show. I'd like to thank Miss Amanda Clevenger for coming on, and she's going to help publish the Kyle May.
Dude, Kyle, that right there is the website. Did you go check out the stuff on Facebook with her?
I haven't yet, but I'm going to.
Oh, dude, you should already have been looking at it.
I'm going to get you guys interviews.
Like, as they were coming on there, I'm looking over here, I'm finding out who they are, what they look like. Yeah, you need to go there. I'm gonna get
interviews for you both, and you're gonna represent In the Dirt the best of your ability.
I can do pro.
I'm not setting the standard very high for either one of you, but you guys just do the best you can. I'd like to thank Miss Lakeetha Skinner, a good friend of mine from here locally. She's an open wheel pilot also, and they recovered from their house losing their home, and they're still racing. Wins their first race back. I'd like to thank Jonathan the Gallon coming on, the announcer from Clay Hill Motorsports Park. It'll be the site of night 2 of the Naismith weekend coming up. All right, guys, this is one of our better shows, man. I'm proud of this one. What do you think? Closing words.
Cool. Kenny Powers rules.
Kyle,
I'm addicted to Eastbound and Down, dude. I think I'm gonna buy all the seasons.
Kyle,
I think that the all-girl pit crew website, I think it's kind of going to be like one of those dating websites for race car drivers. So I'm looking forward to it.
Make sure you get your profile on there so it's like got top status, and the better you do, like maybe the hotter the chicks will get.
But the important thing is with that website is it draws attention to our sport, and our show's not good half the time, but at least we do draw some attention to the sport, and that's what it really all about. So I encourage all my listeners to go check out allgirlpitcrew.com and see what they got going on there, and then maybe one day you'll see the Pigs of Plowboy, and his photo shoot will be on bales of hay with some Daisy Dukes.
Dude, don't put that image in anybody's head.
Have you seen? I've seen a picture with Kyle with his shirt off. It looks like he's got a big black sweater on.
Yeah. Grizzly Adams. Dude, they will make you wax that shit, dude. So you probably ought to just thin it down.
We have just made Mrs. May so proud, and that's not his wife. That's his mama. She's probably going to call me now and yell at me.
Nah, I doubt it.
Sorry, Miss May.
Marty might try to get Marty May might try to get in on that photo shoot since he thinks he's the prettiest May.
Probably, I'm sure.
Well, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Kyle, Good sport as always. But if you want to do that photo spread, I'll get a photographer, and as Brian Gray says, a wax artist.
Yeah, you got. They will make you do that, and it's worse, like around the nipple part. That's the worst part.
It's all fun and games till you say nipple. Join us next week on In the Dirt, Monday, 6 p.m. Central, blogtalkradio.com/In the Dirt, and we can't say nipple no more.